7 most secretive U.S. military missions finally revealed. In this video, you will discover top secret military missions, which include dangerous military experiments, secret U.S. military bases, as well as secret weapons that you will not hear from the media. But before we continue, please like the video and subscribe to the channel to help us expand our presence on YouTube. Number 1. Project MKUltra. Project MKUltra, unveiled in 1975, was the code of an illegal secret project name of the CIA for years, 1950 to 1970, to mentally manipulate some people by injecting psychotropic substances or bioelectric signals. Run by Dr. Sidney Gottlieb, the project was launched under the leadership of CIA Director Allen Dulles on April 13, 1953, in response to the use of supposed mind control techniques allegedly invented by the Soviet Union, China, and North Korea on American prisoners of war during the Korean War. The CIA wanted to develop similar techniques to manipulate foreign leaders and also tried to use some of these techniques on Fidel Castro. In 1972, Richard Helms, then CIA director, ordered the destruction of the archives of the project. It is therefore difficult to have a complete understanding of MKUltra, since more than 150 different sub-projects have been funded under this program. However, thousands of documents were discovered in '77. The project was finally stopped in 1988. According to the CIA, over 30 universities and institutions were involved in a large project tests and experiments that included hidden drug tests on non-volunteers from all social categories, high and low, U.S. and foreign. Project MKUltra led to the deaths of many people, including Dr. Olson. 2. Operation Wrath of God. Operation Wrath of God, also known as Operation Bayonet, was a covert operation run by the government of Israel and approved and supported by the United States, and carried out by the Action Service Mossad to assassinate members of the Palestinian Black September Organization, as well as members of Palestinian Liberation Organization, accused in the involvement in the killings of Israel athletes. Operation Bayonet was a revenge for the murder of 11 Israeli athletes during the 1972 Olympic Summer Games by terrorists of BSO and PLO. The activity received the approval of Israeli Prime Minister Golda Meir in autumn 1972. It lasted over 20 years. During those years, Israeli units in charge of this mission across Europe killed 10 Palestinians and Arabians directly involved in the massacre of the Israelites in Munich in 1972. In addition, military assaults led by Ehud Barak was conducted in Lebanon by Israeli commandos to kill specific Palestinian targets. The operation was a success, but it provoked reactions and criticisms due to the choice of targets, assassination tactics, and others. There were also innocents who died, including Ahmed Bouchiki, brother of Chico Bouchiki, a popular musician and co-founder of the Gypsy Kings, who was mistaken for Ali Hassan Salama. 6 of the Mossad agents were arrested and convicted for the death of Ahmed by the Norwegian justice system. Lillehammer Affair. 3. Project MK Often. MK Often was an occult project conducted by the Department of Defense of the United States in conjunction with the CIA. A complementary of MK Search, an unethical mind control program, the goal was to test the behavioral and toxicological effects of chemical substances on animals and humans. According to Gordon Thomas, MK Often was initiated by an American chemist and spy master called Sidney Gottlieb, then head of the CIA's technical services, to explore the world of black magic and harness the forces of darkness and challenge the concept that the inner reaches of the mind are beyond reach. The project aims to create a new human psycho-civilized society. Psychics, fortune-tellers, palmists, palm readers, demon specialists, witches, Satanists, and other practitioners of the occult were recruited. Given the secrecy of the project and lack of evidence of the results, it is not clearly known the exact number of victims caused by this sinister elaboration, but serious injustices were done and many people were killed. 4. Naomi Project. Naomi was a secret project conducted in the 1950s and 60s by the Defense Department of the U.S. in conjunction with the CIA. It was a sub-MKUltra project. The objective was to store multiple chemicals capable of causing disabling or death of a test subject, and develop the means to disseminate them. According to the book A Terrible Mistake, The Murder of Frank Olson and the CIA's Secret Cold War Experiments by H.P. Albarelli, Jr., the case of the 1951 Point Saint-Esprit mass poisoning, also known as Le Pain Maudit, would be an application of Naomi Project. Le Pain Maudit is a series of food poisoning strikes that occurred in France during the summer of 1951, of which 5 would die, 50 hospitalized in psychiatric hospitals, and 250 others developed more or less serious or lasting symptoms. Nearly 60 years after the events, scientists are still unable to accurately attribute all medical conditions caused by the sinister project. Although Le Pain Maudit poisoning is now rare in developed countries thanks to the application of strict regulations, it still kills in developing countries. In Kenya in 2004, 100 people died due to consumption of maize contaminated with high aflatoxin. 5. Operation Anthropoid. Operation Anthropoid is the codename conducted by the Special Operations Executive in order to assassinate Reinhard Heydrich, chief of the Central Office for Reich Security, officer of the SS and protector of Bohemia and Moravia. The action takes place May 27, 1942, and Heydrich died a few days later of his injuries. Hitler was angry and ordered the SS and the Gestapo to put Bohemia on fire and swore to find the killers. Initially, Hitler was planning a general execution campaign against the Czechs, but limits the retaliation to several thousand people, to avoid endangering the industrial activity of the area, essentially for the German army. In total, over 13,000 people were arrested. The most notable abuses were perpetrated in the villages of Lazaki and Ladis, which were completely destroyed after all the men had been murdered, the women deported to Ravensbrück concentration camp, and children deported to Kelno extermination camp, or placed in German families under the Lebensborn Project, one of the most secret and terrifying Nazi projects. Nearly 5,000 Czech citizens were killed in retaliation. Infuriated, Winston Churchill suggested that 3 German villages be destroyed for every Czech-raised village by the Nazis. But 2 years later, he planned a new operation, this time targeting Hitler in Operation Foxley, but the plan failed. The Anthropoid operations remained the only successful assassination of a Nazi official during the period of the Third Reich. 6. The Phoenix Program. The Phoenix program was secretly designed, coordinated, and executed by the CIA along with the United States Special Operations Forces, Special Forces operatives from the Australian Army Training Team Vietnam, and the Republic of Vietnam during the Vietnam War. The mission was to infiltrate, capture, terrorize, torture, and assassinate members of the National Liberation Front, a political organization with its own army in South Vietnam and Cambodia that fought and defeated the United States and South Vietnam governments during the Vietnam War, 1959 to 1975. This program was successful mostly in the Mekong Delta due to the presence of provincial reconnaissance units that killed or captured NLF members, as well as civilians suspected to know about the NLF activities. From 1967 to 71, the numbers of the group reduced from 80,000 or 100,000 to less than 2,000. The number of victims of the operation from which there would have been civilians is estimated at up to 40,000. 7. Manhattan Project. This is one of the most shocking secret military missions ever. Manhattan Project is the code name for the top-secret research project that led to the first atomic bomb during World War II. The operation was conducted by the United States with participation of UK and Canada. The Manhattan Project operated in absolute secrecy to prevent its discovery by the Axis powers, especially Germany. The project began modestly in 1939, but eventually expanded and employed more than 130,000 people, and cost nearly $2 billion in 1945, about $26 billion in 2013. Over 90% of the expenses were devoted to the construction of plants and production of fissile materials. Less than 10% was used in the development and manufacturing of weapons. Before the Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombings, almost very few people in the government knew the dark objective behind the Manhattan Project. Even the workers were not aware that work on atoms was involved. More than 100,000 employees with the project worked like moles in the dark. Each employer and worker were warned that disclosure was punishable by 10 years in prison, or a $10,000 fine, $131,000 today. It is this project that would lead to the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in August 9th and 6th, 1945. The number of people killed by the blast, heat, and resulting fire is difficult to determine, but the U.S. Department of Energy suggests the numbers 70,000 in Hiroshima and 40,000 in Nagasaki. However, the Hiroshima Peace Memorial Museum puts the figure at about 140,000 deaths in Hiroshima only. According to historian Howard Zinn, the number of total victims for the two cities reached at about 250,000, excluding later deaths caused by various types of cancers and diseases. Thank you for watching till the end. Please like the video and share it with your friends. Remember to subscribe to the channel to help us establish our presence on YouTube.